Rangers, Michael Beale sacked. Who's next? Well, might it be Frank Lampard? Would Frank Lampard be a good fit at Rangers? 81089 if you want to send us a message. Here's Sean, a big Rangers fan. Sean, good morning. Simon and I await your words. What do you want to say on Lampard?
All right, guys, I've got three names. Frank Lampard, Harry Redknapp or Wayne Rooney, but I would say Frank Lampard, he finished fourth with Chelsea in trouble with Chelsea and Derby were in financial trouble. I think the guy deserves a chance. Give him a contract to the end of the season, and if he does well, he gets a 1 or 2 year contract.
Okay, Sean, listen, thanks for that. You would say Lampard, give it a go. Chris is a big Rangers fan. Chris, do you disagree or do you agree with him?
Disagree, Jim. Disagree. I think that Lampard doesn't have it. He's not proved anything. 100% I agree with Simon. He did well at Chelsea, yeah, for a small period of time, but we need a winner. We need someone who's won leagues. Look at Celtic's last three managers. Lennon, Rodgers, Postecoglou all had a track record of winning leagues, whether in this country or other countries. We need a style of play. We need someone who's got a track record. And I understand what you said about Warnock. Warnock's a 2 months. If this was March, Simon, yeah, maybe till the end of the season. But going forward, we need a style. We need to believe in someone. And it's got to be a project over a couple of years.
Is that fair, Simon?
I think that's probably fair. I mean, you've also got to price into the fact that Neil is a certain age. You know, he's not 72, he's 75. Someone corrected me yesterday. But the point is that right now, at this moment in time, Rangers feel like a club that's not going in the right direction. And again, the point I make, I'm not trying to be too disparaging to Lampard, although it sounds that way. Rangers are not operating like a big football club. And the caller just made the point. Look at the appointments. Okay, the Lennon one was a bit of a go-to because they'd been there before. But Rodgers going there, coming in after managing Liverpool, Ange Postecoglou taking that innovative step, a bit like Arsenal took with Arsene Wenger years ago, and everybody went, Arsene who?
Yeah,
and
true.
Look what that story.
True.
But Rangers, they seem to go to a playbook that doesn't have the resonance of a big, solid, ambitious football club.
Yeah, Chris, I'd put it to you that when he arrived at Ibrox, Steven Gerrard had no track record, did he? And he was welcomed with open arms.
I think it's all about timing, Jim. It's all about timing. As it was when you came to TalkSPORT, it was perfect for you coming at TalkSPORT, Jim. So what I would say is, for me, right now, our season's over, and it's, where are we, October the 3rd, and this has happened for the last 3 years. Rangers fans are sick of it. It's toxic at the minute.
Chris, while you're on, you sound like a passionate Rangers supporter. And if you were listening yesterday, I was in Glasgow at the weekend, the Walter Smith tribute, and I spoke to McCoist and spoke to Souness on stage. And I was saying on air yesterday, you could hear a pin drop when Souness was speaking. But the mood that night amongst some of the diehards who were there was that they don't trust the hierarchy at Ibrox to get the next appointment right. Do you agree?
I do, Jim. Yeah. No director of football is a massive problem. We're a big club, as Simon said. Yeah, I get it, Scottish football in smaller terms. But there's got to be more of a structure. There's got to be an idea of what's happening going forward. Do we have a plan? And you've got to stick to it. You've got to trust the process. I mean, as you said here, so we've signed all these players, 8-9 players in the summer. Only Butland looks like he's come out shining. And really what you want is, if a manager doesn't work, you want the next guy to come in with a similar style, similar to what Brighton have done with De Zerbi.
Yeah.
It means the next guy, Southampton have done it in the past, although they got relegated. You need a model. We need to be selling people. We've got to be making profits. That's how we catch up in Europe, and that's how we do well domestically as well.
Chris, what a very good call. I want to thank you for your time and your words. Simon, you've been in this position umpteen times. You know what it takes to try and pinpoint the right person. Is there a name? Is there a name on your mind? I know you're a big Neil Warnock fan, and I agree with you. There's something about Warnock I find almost irresistible. When he goes somewhere, by God, he'll change it. He will change it for the good, for the better. Would he top your list? Or is somebody up there with him?
I don't know. I mean, off the top of my head, I didn't default into Neil because I knew that the reaction from the audience would be, that's because he's your friend. But I also don't believe that Neil would be the long-term fit for Rangers. I think he would be someone that went in and did a job and created an atmosphere inside this football club that someone could follow him behind. And there's an argument, if Souness didn't want to do a director of football job, that someone like Warnock could do a director of football job for Rangers, because he really does bridge the gap between the boardroom and the dugout in a way that no other manager I've ever worked with before has done so. Look, I never had the luxury of the scale of Rangers. Rangers has a scale. Whether I think Scottish football is secondary in terms of its quality is incidental. Rangers is a huge football club and has scale. And the ambition and the forward thinking has to start in the boardroom. It has to start from that position, and then it finds itself eventually into the dugout. You've got all this irresistible force that Rangers is, this embarrassment of riches that football club has, that I would never have had at a Crystal Palace. My Crystal Palace, I was ambitious. I constantly wanted to push the team back in the Premier League. I spent tons of money on achieving it, and I was always trying to achieve it. But it doesn't have, whether I like it or it doesn't, I don't. Rangers is a unique football club like Celtic is. And the people that own it should be owning it with that sense of understanding of the scale of the opportunity. As I say, an embarrassment of riches. I would only dream of having that kind of leverage and opportunity with a club of that scale, because that kind of opportunity should be taken properly, and it should reflect itself in the dugout with the kind of leadership that Rangers haven't had. Gerrard was an experiment, and it half worked. It got them something. Yeah. As Celtic went into a little bit of decline for a season, Rangers, came through. Yeah. But Rangers should be doing better. It's easier saying should be doing better, but the difference between saying doing better and doing better is your approach. People say, "Oh, it's easier for you to say." Let me tell you something. Whether at the end for me at Palace was not the way I wanted it to be, but I built a football club in 10 years. I did it on my own. I did it under sheer will, and it punched above its weight. I didn't have 3 or 4 investors alongside me. If I had Rangers or something like that with that kind of opportunity, and the David Murray period where they were really at it sort of mentality, that was the mentality of David Murray, as much as it was the opportunity. They don't appear to have that in their boardroom right now, and that to me is the missing link.
I think if anything, Michael Beale, who isn't speaking at the moment, and that's understandable, but will in the fullness of time to this show, I think he would realise that to really get it right, you've got to watch what you say when it comes to the media.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.